Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa
Welcome,
barakatuh.
Luqman, to the Muslim show.
Thank you.
So you're our first candidate in a string of series of why you came to Islam. That's the theme of the conversation we're going to have. So let's get straight into it.
Okay.
So, in your words, how did you come to Islam?
Okay. It started off going to Sunday school, probably about 8 years old.
Yeah.
We used to go to Sunday school, but it was just mainly about, the sweets and the chocolate and just having fun, really. We wasn't really God conscious at that time, or consciously God conscious, if that makes sense. And as time went on, we started to get exposed to the Bible, and we used to read the Bible and stuff like that quite regularly. But, I suppose there were certain stories at that time that, you'd read one story on one page and you'd read it on another page and it would say something else. So you'd be like, okay, and the key thing, I suppose, at that time as well was, Jesus being the Son of God, because automatically we'd think, when you think about someone being someone's son, you're going to think literally it's their son. So, but that was kind of at the back of the mind because we didn't really penetrate that too much at the time. So then, about the age of 13, music was always in the background because it's a Jamaican cultural thing anyway. We've always loved music, and music's always been in the household and things like that. So going up to about 13, that's when I started to listen to music a lot more. And, obviously we listened to it, it's fun, and we used to dance and stuff like that. But when you started to sing the lyrics and things like that, after a while, they started to mean something. And especially Bob Marley at that time, there was a lot of soul searching going on. And we as, African diaspora, we were looking for, the truth. We knew it was out there. So
it was a conscious young person, conscious youth.
Well, I suppose in a way at that time, because that you're talking like the 70s, late 60s, 70s. So at that time, you kind of had to be. And so a lot of it at that time came through the music, and we started to, search. And then obviously the Rastafarian movement came out, which was a religion. And, there was Rastafarians about, and they would stop us, on the street. They used to walk around with their staff and stuff like that. And they would stop us and say, right, okay, where do I deal with, what are you defending? What's your faith and things like that. And, it was something we was always conscious of because we was a bit scared, in fact, because we knew that if we went out, we may get confronted by these Rastafarians and they would be asking us, what is your ideology?
And just for the record, you was brought up in rural UK, Birmingham.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. We were brought up in King's Heath in Birmingham, which was kind of a working class to middle class kind of area, But we regularly got confronted, and you had to know your stuff. Because these guys were serious, because at the end of the day, as I said, being the minority in England as well, black people in England that time, we were the minority and stuff, and being part of the diaspora as well, we felt lost, So, you had to know your stuff. But
so was your parents religious as well? Were they like encouraging you to go to church? And
well,
because you seem like you also had that freedom to explore. You was out on the streets talking to Rastas and, going to dance music and so forth. So
yeah, my parents always believed in God, but they never forced anything on us. So, for those who don't know, your fitra, your natural inclination towards God, you're born as a free spirit, free thinker, and you believe in God because that's the way that you're actually created. And it's your parents that make you into, a Jew, fire worship, a Christian and things like that. So my parents never forced anything on us. So we were just allowed to make our own decisions and things like that. But if we were, when we used to go to bed at night and stuff, my mom would, say a prayer, would say the Lord's Prayer and stuff like that. But she never had like a Bible that she'd sit down and teach us from. And the same with my dad. I think their thing was mainly morals, making sure that you had manners and you had good morals and things like that, which, is a foundation in religion as well. So they never forced anything on us. They just allowed us to think. So we were kind of like free thinkers. And for the most part, when we came across, the Rastafarian religion at that time, that was the first one that we could analyze, and look into it and think, well, okay, is this the way then? And that was the early stages, and that was the first one. But to be honest, it didn't really take long for us to realize, well, hang on, and that's no disrespect, because at the end of the day, there's people who still hold to that faith now, but personally, it was a phase that we went through. And
how old are you at this stage?
13 to 14.
Right.
13 to 14. And as I said, the main influences at that time, even though I didn't directly believe in the Rastafarian, movement like that, there was still a strong attachment to the music because the lyrics were conscious. Bob Marley at that time, he was an idol, and he was somebody that we actually looked up to. And we took guidance from him, really, because as I said, at that time, because he used a lot of his references as well. He used to refer to the Bible, but also he exposed the Bible as well in certain ways, because he would, like he, in one of his lyrics, I think it was Bob Marley, where he was talking about the different versions of the Bible. Right. And things like that. And in his interviews, he would say things like, if the Bible was actually meant for black people. So he would put seeds in your mind, right, where you would have to do further analysis to, have a look at the Bible to see, is he actually correct and things like that. So
did that not move you as a Christian? So at 8 years old, you was going to church, and by 15, you was hearing like other faiths or other things that relate back to Christianity, but not encouraging to stay in Christianity. Is that what you're saying? Or?
Yeah, well, exactly, because that's the thing, though, isn't it? Because what they were saying from the musical point of view of Bob Marley and people, like artists like that, they were basically saying, well, yes, there's actually a creator, but the Bible and the Christianity sect isn't for us, type of thing.
Okay.
So obviously we were looking down, a different path.
Right.
Because obviously we're, as I said, we were the minority in England, and, Bob Marley was always referring to, Babylon. Yeah. So he'd refer to, the white people and society as Babylon. And as I said, it was like at that time, it was almost like them against us. But not only was it them against us with regards to color, it was like it was them against us with regards to religion as well. So obviously he was saying that, their religion isn't our religion, so.
It's interesting take that so young, because I think it was different for myself. So at so young, you was faced with conflicting, if you want to say, options. Yeah,
absolutely. And, and the thing that gave weight to, the inspiration that we was getting from the music was a lot of it was valid. A lot of the points that were being raised in the music and in the movement and things like that, it was a lot of it was valid. So, and then when you do actually read the Bible and you're finding conflicting information in there, would distance myself from it further.
Yeah.
But the foundation that, united us was that we did actually believe in the creator of the heavens and the earth. So that was always there, So I suppose in a way that they were a sect of Christianity, But as I said, with regards to my journey, was I reached a point where I think roughly probably about, 14 or 15, where we started to look deeply into the religion now. So we were looking at that time at the Seventh-day Adventist sect, you know, and because I had friends who were Seventh-day Adventists, and you know.
And how would you describe the Seventh-day Adventists in terms of the different sects of Christianity? What is their fundamental thing that makes them different to the other sects?
I think the main thing that stood out for me was the Sabbath.
Right.
They actually followed the Sabbath, and they followed it on the Saturday because obviously the days of the week had been changed.
Yeah.
So the seventh day of the week was the Sunday, but obviously, it had been changed to the Sunday. So it was originally the Saturday. So they used to observe that, you know, from sunset to sunrise.
Yes.
You know, they wouldn't work.
Wouldn't go shopping.
And no.
Type of activity.
Exactly.
Right.
So I could kind of relate to that as well. And plus you could marry that with the Bible and things like that. So it got to that stage, and then, you know, on further analysis, it got to the stage where I thought, and I think this was probably around about the age of 16 to 17, because we would go into the churches as well. We wouldn't just read the Bible, you know, we would go to the churches and things like that. And it got to the point where I just said, you know what? I do believe in the Creator. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 10 Commandments and just follow that as a moral code in my life, and I'll leave the rest of it. And the reason for that was, as I said, it was conflicting information. So I always knew that, you know, the 10 Commandments was like a solid foundation that if you lived your life following the 10 Commandments, you couldn't go, you know, too far wrong. So I started doing that for a while.
So there must have been a process then, so you went to church from around about the age of 8, and now you're at the age of like 13, 14, and you've made a conscious decision to leave some of the Bible and only follow the 10 Commandments. So how did that feel to have to make that choice to leave some of the Bible? Like, how did that feel?
To be honest with you, it felt, I felt relief, to be honest with you, because as I said, it was a search, and it was something that I'd actually studied and looked at it and evaluated it. And at that time, I knew that there was too many flaws and too many issues with regards to, you know, the Bible at that time for it to be, I suppose, at that time, I didn't think whether or not it was the word of God or not. It was just that there's conflicting information in there. But I didn't become a Muslim because there's contradictions in the Bible. That's not the reason why I ended up in Islam, although we haven't reached there yet. It was at that time I knew that there was issues with it. But I also knew that there was truth in it. And I think that was the confusing thing. You knew that there was truth in it because there was things in it that you could instantly relate to. And, you know, the truth is something that settles in your heart, you know, and, you know, there's things that are just total factual, which are undeniable, which are clearly in there. But as I said, it was kind of a relief because, you know,
Did you have any pressure from your parents to consistently go to church and things like that?
No.
Are they okay with the approach you had towards their faith?
Absolutely no pressure whatsoever from my parents, ever, about anything like that. Because as I said, to be honest with you, my mom's, you know, my mom obviously believed in God and things like that. But my mom's approach was, I suppose she used to say things like, well, you know, it's all above, you know, our comprehension, you know, with regards to God and things like that. So she would kind of leave it alone, you know, where my dad, as I said, he never, you know, he didn't really open up, you know, too much about, you know, his internal beliefs and things like that. So as I said, we were pretty much, me and my brothers and sisters, we were pretty much left to kind of, you know, think ourselves, but they never applied, you know, any pressure whatsoever, you know.
Okay, so there wasn't strict. You wouldn't say there was strict
No,
faith followers
no,
Christians then.
because even the brother I said who was a Seventh-day Adventist and his family were Seventh-day Adventists, they were 100% strict and firm on it,
Right.
you know. So yeah, I suppose it was a blessing in some ways because, you know, as I said, we were left to make the decisions ourselves. Yeah. So that was up until, as I said, about the age of 16 or 17. But to backtrack slightly, you know, leading up to with regards to Islam, we lived in King's Heath, as we mentioned earlier. We lived on Station Road, and we had a house there, and the house was it was quite a big house.
Yeah.
But it was, for some reason, it had 113A and 113B Station Road. Never sure why it had that, but it was still one house, but it was quite a big house, like a few rooms on one side and a few rooms on the other side. And we had my godfather, at that time, we called him a godfather, he lived on the other side. Anyway, the Muslims of that community wanted to build a mosque. So they went to the council and said that we wanted to build a mosque. The council said you can build a mosque, but it has to be an end house, a detached end house.
Yeah.
So they came to my dad and they said to my dad, they reiterated what the council said to them, that they wanted to have a mosque and it had to be a end house. So they said to my dad, you know, we propose that we buy your house off you and we'll buy you another one from the auction and we'll turn this one into a mosque.
Okay.
And the thing that swayed it at the time was, for some reason, because it was 113A and 113B Station Road, for some reason they were charging my dad two separate rates for the house, because at that time it wasn't council tax, it was rates. So they were charging him two separate rates for the house. So my dad looked at it and he said, well, you know what? They're charging me two separate rates, so I might as well go for it. So my dad sold them that house, and then they bought us a house on Highbury Road, and then they turned it into a mosque.
So the house that you grew up in was transformed into a masjid.
The house that I was born in.
The house that you was born in.
Yeah,
transferred
because
into a
at that time, I think me and two of my brothers and sisters, we were born at home.
Yeah.
So we were born in that house, and then, as I said, they turned it into a mosque. So as we were growing up,
Did you know what a masjid was at that time? Do you know that it was a place of worship for Muslims? And
I knew vaguely they worshipped Allah, or called him Allah.
Yeah.
And I knew that they were called Muslims, and I knew it was a religious thing. And where they bought us the house, when we used to be going to school, we used to be able to go to school two ways. And there was one way that we'd go to school where we'd go back to the mosque, but we didn't realize that it was we realized that it was a mosque, but we didn't fully understand, the ins and outs.
Sentimental connection, what you had.
Exactly.
With your old home.
Exactly.
Home.
So that was our house that we had grown up in until like 8 years old, because that was 76 and I was 8 at that time. So we would go back there just to have a look around, and we used to see the shoes. And, to be honest, we did used to move them a little bit. But we had a grape tree, and the grape tree would never grow when we were there. And it was because they were extending it. So we'd go back and we'd see if we could get some grapes off the tree and stuff like that. But yeah, in a nutshell, to fast forward, I was at college at...
So old are you now? Fast forward into what?
Fast forward to probably about 28, 29. Yeah, I was at college, and I was doing a course at college, and I come across some Pakistani brothers, some Muslims, and they were the conversation came up about Jesus being the Son of God and things like that. And we were having a little bit of reasoning, and there's a saying, it says it's what you learn after everything that counts. And I thought, I knew it all at that time, about religion and stuff like that. And we were having a conversation, and within about 2 minutes, they had me, because they were asking me questions about, Jesus being the Son of God. And I never really thought about it like that before, because subconsciously I didn't think that he was the biological son of God. You know, you just kind of took it like a pinch of salt, but they made me think.
Is that what he was asking you?
Exactly. And they made me think about it at that time. And because it was off the cuff, I was like, well, they kind of had me, because I had either had to lie or I'd have to submit at that time and think, okay, well, let me do some further research.
So you're in your 20s and you never really given it good thought about whether Jesus is God's actual biological son. Is that what you mean? Was it the begotten son aspect?
Yeah.
Like, what was it that when you say they had you, like, what was it that?
Because they wanted me to explain it, whereas before,
Right.
they wanted me to explain it how he was the son of God. And I suppose, took it as like more metaphoric. Subconsciously, I took it as metaphoric, not necessarily literal, but that didn't actually, come to my mind until they actually said that. And I thought, okay, well, in what context? But when you're having a live conversation in real time and things like that, you can't, I couldn't actually deduce it and articulate it to them.
Provoking, wasn't it?
Exactly, exactly. And it's something that I had to go away and think about, because I couldn't really answer it at that time, because clearly it wasn't biological, so it had to be, okay, so in what context is he, the son of God?
And these were just associates at college, or they were friends? Were these people that you see after college in your own area? Or?
No, they were literally friends that, I suppose, colleagues at college. And as I said, the conversation just
has to be going to your old home as a masjid.
Exactly. Wow. MashaAllah. Yeah. So I suppose after that, when I did actually go home and I started to think about it, for some reason, there was people that I was associated with at the time who just happened to be, Pakistani. So there were certain questions, that I could actually ask them, or their thoughts on it and things like that. And then somebody gave me a book. I was doing a marketing course, and somebody gave me a book about, Islam and things like that. And I was taking it home and I was reading it, and when I was having a look at it and things like that, I was like, I was surprised, to be honest, at that time. But going back, the same person that I was tight with, who was a Seventh-day Adventist, I heard that he had actually become Muslim. And me and him used to sit down for hours, and we'd be talking about all kinds of different things. And I lost contact with him, and as I said, somebody told me that he become Muslim, and which I was surprised at the time. And then I seen him one day, and I said to him, I heard that you become Muslim. And he said, yeah. And I said, so what about Jesus? And he said, yeah, we love Jesus. I said, okay. And he said, life's about study, but that resonated with me, because, as I said, me and him used to sit down for hours. And absolutely, life is about study, and you do have to study. So for me, that was just like, okay.
So did that motivate you further?
100%. And I think, to be honest with you now, I think that was one of the best, would you say best? In terms of giving dawah, to me, that was a massive, that enabled me in some ways to actually, embrace Islam, because, he wasn't there, talking to me for hours about Islam and things like that. He just said a simple statement about life is about study, and what he's saying is that we studied together before. And at the end of my studying now, I found the truth.
What was it that you mentioned a point about you was surprised when you read the Quran? So what was it you found surprising when you were reading it, if you can remember back?
Yeah, I think just because at first I thought it was similar to the Bible, but just the structure and the simplicity of it. And also how similar, when I say similar to the Bible, it's not similar to the Bible only in the sense of the description, the way he described things was very surprising to me, and it was very simplistic.
Is that because you didn't expect to see it there, or
Yeah, that's
what
one.
was the surprising aspect?
I suppose I'd have to say the similarity
Right.
to the actual Bible, but similarity in terms of the prophets,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
and everything was logical, you know, in terms of, you know, that's the creator,
Yeah.
and everything beneath the creator is the creation, you know.
Yeah.
And obviously Allah is actually at the top of it, and then you've got the prophets. So I could relate to all of the prophets, which I didn't actually know before, you know. So it kind of put it into perspective.
Okay.
Yeah.
So almost in effect, it was new, easier learning from what you was accustomed to in the Bible. Is that right? Is that
Yeah.
maybe?
In some ways, yeah. But to be honest with you, when I first come across Islam or the Quran, I had a Quran when I was probably about 27 years old.
Yeah.
Because I was looking for some kind of order in my life. So this is off the back end of now growing up, going to church, and then going through the Rastafarian movement, going through the, you know, Christianity.
Yeah.
And then it was like I'd reached a point where, you know, I needed some kind of order and structure in my life. And I come across the Quran and things like that for the first time. And the only thing that but I was looking at it from the point of some order in my life.
Yeah.
So then when I saw about making wudu and things like that, and I thought, oh, this seems a little bit complex at the time.
Right.
So I kind of put it to one side. And then, as I said, I carried on. And then I think 3 or 4 years later, that's where I ended up in college. And that's where I come across these brothers.
Yeah.
And that's where I started the other journey now, but literally looking into, you know, Islam, because now, you know, they've come to me saying to me that obviously Islam is, you know, is the truth.
So you're having more interaction with Muslims at this point.
Exactly.
And maybe they're explaining things that you wasn't aware of, or
Exactly.
perspective. Right.
And the thing that I liked about it is that, you know, if I would ask them a question and they didn't know, they'd say, well, look, you know, we don't know, but we can find somebody who does know. And, you know, they would come back with, you know, a logical answer that was, you know, that was plausible and that would sit in my heart. But I didn't, to be honest with you, as I said, I didn't really fight it, because I couldn't really fight it, because at the end of the day, I didn't have anything to fight it with, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, when you're coming from the angle of Jesus being the Son of God and things like that, I didn't actually believe it 100% anyway. But, you know, when I was actually given that book, I was reading that book regularly. And I think one day I decided, I went to my wife at the time, because we were doing some studying together. And I said to her, when you pray, who do you actually pray to? And she said, well, aren't you supposed to pray to Jesus, you know, through Jesus to God? And that was the end of the conversation, really, because for me, you know, what I had actually been reading and everything like that, you know, it just confirmed, you know, that it was wrong in terms of, you know, Jesus being the Son of God and things like that. And I actually embraced Islam by myself. So I had the book and I thought, you know, this is the truth, but I didn't know, you know, too much about it.
You was that convinced?
Yeah, 100%.
Took it yourself?
I took it myself.
Wow.
But at that time, I told my next door neighbor was Pakistani.
Yeah.
And I told him that I had actually, you know, become Muslim, and he was excited and everything like that. And then, you know, he took me to the mosque. And then from there, it was just...
So can I just take you back? So when you left Christianity, or when you became Muslim, I should say, did you feel as though you was turning your back on Christianity? Like, how did you feel about that?
No. The short answer is no, because I found the thing that I was searching for the whole of my life in a way. I mean, it took me, okay, so from probably about consciously from about 12, 13 years old up until 30 years old, you know, that's what 20 odd years of searching, you know, for the truth. And then, you know, I found the truth. So there was absolutely, you know, no doubt in my mind whatsoever, you know, that I had actually found the truth. So no, there was, you know, not an issue. But, you know, as you said before, you know, you're talking about family, you know, how they perceive you, you know, once you've actually become Muslim and stuff like that. Luckily, you know, in fact, my dad actually said to me when I become Muslim, he said, "You're going to stick to it." You know, that's what he said. And that was his main concern, was, am I going to stick to it? He didn't question it, you know, whereas my mom, you know, she was a little bit different. You know, she was like, you know, why are you the only person in the family that's, you know, become a Muslim and stuff like that? And then as the beard started to grow, she'd be like, you know, you used to be so handsome, you know, why don't you cut off your beard and, you know, things like that, you know. But, you know, they never...
She was a little uneasy with it.
She was a little uneasy with it. But I think, you know, coming from that era, because my mom was born in like, you know, 1930. So, you know, culturally, you know, that's not something that, you know, she was used to. But whereas my dad, he, you know, he used to say that, you know, he used to see Muslims in and around the neighborhood in Jamaica, you know, way back then. So, you know, it was
a little bit difficult for some parents as well, because I don't know how it was. I mean, for myself personally, with my father now, I remember it took him years to actually admit he felt as though he was losing me. So when I became Muslim, he felt as though I betrayed him.
Wow.
You know,
okay.
And it was only, you know, when we had a chance to talk many years later, he really took it really hard.
Really?
Yeah. And, you know, that's when I actually realised that different people act different for different reasons, you know what I mean? And sometimes you never really know until they open up to you. Sometimes they might manifest it straight away, but, you know. So, yes, it seems like you had a pleasant time with your family.
Yeah.
Difficult.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And I think that is largely to do with, you know, the upbringing and where we were actually brought up as well, because they had a different kind of, you know, outlook, you know, on it. And as I said, we was never, you know, pressured into any type of religion or going to church and stuff like that. So, you know, we were pretty much, as I said, free thinkers at that time.
It's a really interesting story, fascinating, especially how the house that you grew up in became a masjid.
Subhanallah. Yeah, absolutely.
Have you been back there since you become Muslim?
Yeah, because at first when I became a Muslim, it was a bit overwhelming, to be honest with you, because, you know, I was born in that house, and I'd go into the house to, you know, to pray and stuff like that, but I could never concentrate, to be honest, because, you know, there were so many things that happened in there. Yeah, memories and stuff like that. And, you know, as a kid once, my mom gave me some orange juice to drink, and I drank it, and she went upstairs, and I wanted some more. And I went to the kitchen, and I took down a bottle of bleach, which I thought was orange juice, and I drank the bleach and stuff. And so where the masjid is right where the kitchen was, where that happened. And, you know, I was vomiting, I was getting slapped in my face to stay awake and stuff like that. So I couldn't concentrate, and the hairs would stand up on the back of my head and stuff like that. And I think the first time I went back there, it was years after, and I saw the same guy who came to my dad to ask him to buy the house and stuff like that. But obviously he didn't recognize me. You know,
now you have an extended, larger family now.
Exactly. So, you know, I told him that I was, I said, do you know who I am? And he said, no. And I said, I'm Mr. Cole's son. And yeah, he had tears in his eyes and everything like that, because obviously, you know, that many years ago, he bought the house. And, and then obviously Allah guided me, to Islam and stuff like that. And I go there, I still go there now and then, when I'm up that way and stuff, and mashallah, it's an honor, it's an honor, mashallah, tabarakallah.
Okay, so I have some different questions now. So,
Okay.
how is it for you now? You're Muslim now, so many years later, you've been Muslim for a long time now. Can you remember, like, how did your life change?
SubhanAllah.
What was the most? Because for everybody, it's different, isn't it? So, what would you say? I'm trying to find my words now. What would you think? What changed for you the most? That Islam done for you?
It gave me, and it's going to sound like a cliche, it gave me peace and tranquility and confidence that I never had before in terms of my ideology and what I believe and direction and focus and inner peace, because I say that, it's better to study something with your intellect before you become emotionally attached to it. And I was emotionally attached to, I'm not going to say Christianity, but certain things with regards to Christianity that I hadn't fully studied with my intellect. And then brothers there that I met at the college, they made me look at things with my intellect and study it. And then when you study it with your intellect, then you can become emotionally attached to it because you know that it's actually the truth. And that's the thing that it actually gave me. But also at that time, because you're so excited and you want to share it with everybody, you don't know enough about it to be able to share it because you want everybody to have some of this now. So you can almost be a little bit arrogant and, probably over emotional, over passionate and things like that, at that time. But it's only because your intention is to share, this amazing truth that you've actually found, but not everybody sees it like that. But you do, at that time, I never saw that. So, if I was to have my time again, the approach would have been different, But to answer your question, the main thing was those things
The
that I
profound
actually.
point, that is what you just mentioned about having to study it and not to be emotionally involved.
Yeah, because obviously you can be emotionally attached to something, and it was an emotional thing. Like some people say, yeah, Jesus is God, and stuff like that. But a lot of it is actually from emotion, But obviously, when you study it and look at it rationally, because even if you just break that down and you even to ask most people, well, do you believe that Jesus is the Son of God, and to define what context, they're not going to say biological, are they? So what is the actual context? The context has to be metaphorical, doesn't it? But where people actually say that it's actually literal,
So after studying the Quran and meeting these brothers at a later stage in your life, and doing your searches and stuff, you actually came to a conclusive decision that Islam is the truth, and you accepted Islam, and you don't feel as though you betrayed God or turned your back on Christianity. You feel like you found the truth as it was meant to be revealed.
100%.
And you've embraced that, and you're happy and you're content.
Yeah, 100%, 100%.
Really nice story.
Yeah, and there's so many aspects, because there's so many aspects of Islam that because it's a way of life, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you don't have to guess anything. You know when to pray. You know what state to actually pray in. How you've got to to be in terms of your wudu and things like that. The Messenger of Allah said he hasn't left anything that, with regards to the religion, that if a bird was to change direction in the sky, there would be something in the religion to deal with it. That's just paraphrasing it. So it's complete guidance in this life, isn't it? So
it's a very holistic way of life, Islam.
100%. Yeah.
And I'd encourage all the listeners that they should study the religion. because only through studying will you understand Allah and understand the religion.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I suppose, as I said, going back in hindsight, which is a wonderful thing, you can look at how, the mistakes that, you made along the way and stuff like that, as I said, in dealing with people. And, you can become impatient with them and things like that. But ultimately, some people have got their, they can choose, their, the right path
Inshallah.
without having, people imposing it on them. Because obviously you can only, share the information with somebody, and then whether they, the path that they choose is obviously up to them in the end, isn't it?
Jazakallah khairan, Luqman. Thank you for coming on the Muslim Show. It's been
Barakallah.
really good having you on board.
You're welcome.
You told a really fascinating story.
Jazakallah khair.
Thank you. This is Osama and the Muslim Show. Real talk. We'll see you next time.